Hello guys, it is Sunday night here in Ukraine, and in these turbulent times we do need some good news. Which means we will start our video today with more of the Russian geography lessons, because Ukrainian drones did some good job in Volgograd and in Tambov. Actually, this week was rich in demilitarization of Russia, with our drones visiting Tambov, Voronezh, Nizhniy, Novgorod, Tula and many more objects, while neutralizing them for the safety and security on the planet. Global media somehow does not notice that actually lots of spheres of the Russian life demonstrate serious cracks, starting from the Russian economy and their desperate efforts to slow down the inflation, and finishing with the North Korean soldiers coming to Russia. Yes, this is definitely not a sign of Russia's strength. Now they need a foreign army in their own territory to help protect their borders against the Ukrainian armed forces. And there are many other important events that demonstrate we have to remain united, and we can and we will defeat this evil. My name is Anna, I'm from Ukraine, I'm in Ukraine, and if you want to see the collapse of the Kremlin and Putin in prison, subscribe. We will discuss that on the channel sometime soon. And right now we start with our favorite topic, more explosions on Russian military objects. First of all, this night was loud and bright in Tambov, when Ukrainian drones visited Michurin oil refinery. You will not find a lot of comments and reports on Russia's state media, because they are all about the constructing of fake reality where Russia is still winning. But lots of videos shared on Telegram channels with dissatisfied comments of the Russian population is the best evidence. I do hope that with more demilitarization operations, with more dronophobia developing in the Russian Federation, their population will start protesting. Saying protests in Russia, I realize it's quite unrealistic, but come on. Even I remember as a very small child the collapse of the Soviet Union, and it was marked by this dissatisfaction. Volgograd is another city that Ukrainian drones have visited tonight, or something else happened, because the explosion there was loud and probably a very big truck carrying lots of drones was neutralized. We have lots of videos YouTube will not allow to share here, but maybe on the community tab or elsewhere you can find the proof. So what I like about this news actually is not just the destruction of these evil drones that otherwise would target Ukrainian homes like they did a night before. And you know, we've lost lives of our children in the capital of Ukraine. This is still happening. So when we destroy these drones while still on the Russian side, it is beautiful. And it is another reason why you have to let Ukraine strike back and defend our children. But what I like about Volgograd case is that perhaps someone spoke, because how else do you know that this truck was full of drones? So I'm hoping more and more of Ukrainian or other informers are working on the locations. And actually this week was marked by lots of explosions on Russian ammunition depots, on their military airfields, and we remember Tambov, we remember Voronezh, Tula and Nizhniy Novgorod. And honestly, I only trust in this demilitarization and defeat of Russia as the way to achieve lasting peace on the planet, because right now dictators get inspired by Putin. Subscribe to see the fall of these dictators, and we all know that dictators never end well, and they actually deserve that. So hopefully Putin, Kim will communicate in hell sometime really soon. Share the videos that you like on your social media platforms. Actually, Russia itself is quite good at bombing itself, and honestly, after Ukraine, perhaps that's the only country that is brave enough to target Russia And Russia keeps dropping bombs on Belgorod. This is not the region where Ukrainian armed forces control the settlements like in Kursk. Not yet, guys. But Russia uses it as a military platform and often travels to the Ukrainian front lines above Belgorod and keeps dropping huge guided bombs on their own settlements. Most importantly, they do not have investigations why this is happening, because come on, if these are hundreds of bombs during this full-scale invasion, that's a very dangerous precedent. And Russian farmers, Russian alcoholics keep reporting about the findings of such unexploded bombs. And even this Friday, after I have recorded a vlog, 3 more cabs were dropped on Belgorod by Russian pilots. So literally Russia bombing Russia. I don't mind. And honestly, what irritates me greatly as a person who follows news about Ukraine in the media, especially abroad, that very few professionally report about the problems inside Russia. People are concentrated on Ukraine. That's good. I'm grateful. But please open your eyes and see real cracks in Russia. Number one, of course, it is their economy. First of all, they have very serious inflation. It is overheated, their economy. They had to raise interest, and it is historic 21%. Also, the prices, the rate of dollar is collapsing, and you cannot buy it openly in the banks. You have to buy it on the black market or gray market, and the prices are way different from the official there. Visa, MasterCard security certificates are almost expired, and more things happening as Russia is isolated and China is frightened after the last wave of sanctions that actually reached Chinese banks that helped Russian banks to avoid the sanctions. And China is very about economy, and if it realizes that helping Russia, actually supplying Russia with everything it asks, it can harm its own economy, they will stop. And that is why it's so important to be decisive and united right now, when it is a very important moment in the modern history. Who will prevail? Democratic world order or authoritarian? But Russian economy is another sign, is one sign that they are losing and experiencing severe problems. But symptom number 2, North Korean soldiers. You know, this week I was honored with a conversation on this topic with Jake Bro, whom I greatly respect. But also, I agree with him completely that these North Korean soldiers in Russia, they are not a signal of strength. They are a signal of weakness in Russia. Because just imagine for a second, would you like foreign soldiers coming to your territory to help you? Yes, I would like NATO soldiers to come to Ukraine, but we are in the full-scale, unprovoked, violent war with Russia who invaded us. But I mean, you pretend that you are a strong country, everything is superb, you are achieving all the aims of your special military operation, but somehow on this peak of success, as Putin describes it, you need thousands of foreign soldiers to back you up. It's obvious Putin is lying, and he desperately needs more people to help him control the collapsing borders of the Russian Federation. Why won't you find such headlines? Why these Russian narratives still manage and still keep reappearing in your news, in your newspapers? Do you see some articles actually speaking about these problems in Russia and analyzing them from this perspective? Not from the perspective, oh my God, how strong Russia is, North Korea is helping them. It's pathetic when Kim Jong-un is your partner. It's pathetic when, being the largest country in the world with 144 million people, you need thousands of North Korean soldiers to protect Kursk region. Subscribe to see more of the Russian Federation liberated by the Ukrainian armed forces or the North Korean armed forces. You can never know. Because one more important thing that we forget about is that North Korean soldiers are in Russia only because the Chinese allowed them, because North Korea survives only with the support of China. So China allowed North Koreans to come to Russia. Maybe China is eating Russia from different sides. Think about that in a creative way. Think about that differently from what Russia paid journalists to want you to think about. Korea is like South Korea is the country that may actually help a lot to Ukraine if they decide to provide us with weapons, and it is already their war too, because with the inspiration getting from Putin's how do you say it when someone is unpunished after bad actions, Kim Jong-un can actually do something bad to another part of this very badly separated nation. Subscribe to see all the evil collapsing, and also to discuss BRICS, what I wanted with you, because it was pathetic to observe all of Putin's performances. He wanted to look good. Many of leaders ignored the meeting, but unfortunately the Secretary General of the United Nations decided he wants to hug Putin and he wants to hug Lukashenko, which is insane. I have some good people who keep commenting that it is a job of Guterres to do such things. Maybe it is a job of Guterres to visit different places, but it is definitely not a place to hug them, to shake their hands, and not to remind them that, whoa, you have an international criminal court order because you're a war criminal responsible for stealing Ukrainian children. Let me hug you. That's insane. But despite all Putin's efforts, the resolution of BRICS and the majority of his ideas failed. And I think that even those countries who traditionally have positive attitudes towards Russia, they loved Soviet Union, they see that Putin's craziness leads to isolation, leads to sanctions, and in the world of authoritarian regimes, they don't care about each other really. It's not about like national friendship or something, it's about using each other. And the more decisive we are in preventing any cooperation and support of Russia, at least in the economic sphere, the sooner they will all abandon Russia. And I do want to see that. I hope you too. And another important battle is taking place in the political field. And surprise, no, I'm not talking about the US election. You know that despite I follow the news very carefully and I feel them and I am very emotional, I have chosen not to comment because that's your job, and I'm praying that you make a right choice, good for you too, not just for Ukraine. But I'm going to speak about Georgia and Moldova. Once again, I see how many try to manipulate and say, oh my God, Moldova scarcely supported Euro integration, and Georgia seems like have chosen a pro-Russian party. But let me tell you that the Ukrainian way, despite all the efforts of Russian propaganda, despite all the bribes, despite decades of Soviet occupation and Russification, Moldova chose to be a part of the European Union. And their president, who is very pro-EU and a woman, and I like it, actually has all the chances to win the presidential election. And we may treat it so far as a semi-victory of EU and Ukraine. In Georgia, serious protests may come, and it's obvious that Russia did everything to falsify the results. I have a lot of friends in Georgia who are devastated with this oligarchic party run by the richest person in Georgia, Ivanishvili, a totally pro-Russian creature, he was created. In Ukrainian, that would be kreatura. But it's good, creature, you know. And he is an oligarch. And when your country, when your party is run by an oligarch, you are in trouble. And definitely there is a Russian trace. So people are protesting against that. People are actually very devastated that so many Russians fled Russia to Georgia, and they fled not because they are against Putin or because they are against war. No, they simply did not want to be mobilized and they wanted to travel easily. That's a problem, and I see it as a great problem that all this Russian immigration, all these people who pretend to be different, who escaped Russia, are not uniting and not working to one day return back to Russia and build democracy there. I don't know, but I come to this conclusion that they have no hope for that country, and that's awful. And this is another proof why you, good people from the democratic world, should not expect that people inside Russia will produce something like a democracy. They don't know what that is. But we can teach them with the example of the Ukrainian victory. For the survival of the Russian population, it is vital to defeat them. It may sound weird, but please think about that. Look at what they are doing right now to themselves. Look at how isolated, zombified they are. What is the way out? To wait until Putin dies? Unfortunately, he may live long. So it's better to liberate them sooner. And how can we liberate them? By the defeat of Russian Federation and Putin's imprisonment. Subscribe to see that and discuss that on the channel. Also join me on Instagram, X, Threads and Discord. All the links that you need are in the description of this video. Check our merch shop for lots of good items that work well as reminders and conversation starters about Ukraine. Thank you for buying me coffees, becoming my patrons and sponsors of the channel. But most importantly, thank you for being friends of Ukraine. Slava Ukraini!